chat. I didn't turn off my Spotify music. Look at that. I knew chat was gonna be off-center. How did I know that? Let me put it. There we go. Fixing stuff live. Yeah, I don't know what the frick is going on, but my computer decided that we were not gonna stream today. We were not gonna theorize. We were not gonna review Secret of the Mimic. I don't know what the frick happened. My computer, like, was shitting his pants. I don't even know if it was my computer or if it was OBS, because OBS just wasn't opening. But then I was also having issues with VTube Studio, but it wasn't even, like, a computer issue. Like, my phone just decided that it wasn't gonna connect to VTube Studio, and I was like, can we please? Like, it's so late. I'm like an hour late for stream. It's actually insane, but I still wanted to stream. I don't know how long the stream is gonna go, because we're not really, like, we're not playing the game. We're not having, like, a specific agenda, I guess. I have notes, which which I think is really funny, but I do have notes as to kind of what we're going to be discussing today. I don't know. I'm trying to move chat in real time because it's too big for the thingy. I haven't had YouTube chat up in so long because, well, I used to cross stream to Twitch, but I kind of stopped doing that, and I don't even really know why. It, like, happened a while ago where I was just like, you know what? I'm not getting a lot of traction on Twitch because I really wasn't. And there wasn't really a lot of stuff that was going on Twitch, and I always just used to get, like, random bots and shit like that, so I was just like, it wasn't worth it after a little bit, so it's just kind of like, whatever. But anyways, that's why YouTube chat is kind of a weird font, and it looks a little outdated because I haven't changed it since I actually had my old model and theme and stuff like that. But anyways, hello everybody, welcome to stream. Hello Bones, welcome to the stream. K-Dog, welcome to the stream. And Argument, welcome to the stream. It is a late night stream, yes, and late night screams. Honestly, I feel both of those. Okay, let me open up my notes here because I have some notes. Because I have some thoughts that I want to go over. I have to explain. I'm not going to show my notes because honestly a lot of it just doesn't make any sense, and I don't want to do anything to OBS to have it, like, explode. But my notes are so freaking confusing as to, I guess, what I wanted to talk about today, specifically the theories part. Because, and I'll clue you in on just one of these theories that I have written down, because there's more I want to say about it. But I wrote this at like 3 a.m. yesterday, and one of them just says, Fiona is Vanny. Which, there's a lot more I have to say to kind of explain what I mean, but I think that's a fucking crazy statement just to have on my freaking notes. Also, I had music, but I don't think it's playing. There we go. I'm setting the mood with some creepy music featuring a lot of different video game soundtracks. There's a lot of FNAF music on this playlist as well, but it's just kind of like setting the tone. I don't know how long this playlist is gonna last us, to be completely honest with you. But yeah. It's a little loud. Not gonna lie. Oh, I muted the video. I'm here to tell you a story. Also, I don't know why I have chat, like, so covered. Let me move it. Ah, yes. The theory of did Edwin clap Fiona Mimic's cheeks is now a known theory, but it's my theory. I mean, we could talk about that. But I mean, I don't know. Like, if it was me, I probably wouldn't. But it's not even like... Because, like, here's the thing, Chai, here's the thing. I'm gonna, like, do a little bit of a self-report here for a minute. But, like, Glamrock Freddy's kinda hot, okay? And I understand that. I understand the appeal. But the Mimic is just like an endoskeleton, so... You know, you guys... I don't think I have to say any more than that. You guys know what I'm trying to say. So if it was me, if I was Edwin, I would not involve myself with the Mimic in such ways. Because it's creepy and it's just like an endoskeleton. I think it would be really strange. But maybe Edwin did that. He was kind of losing his mind a lot there at the end, so who knows. Also, if the music is too loud, let me know. I don't really know how loud it is. It's kind of loud in my ears, and I don't know why because I put the volume down, but anyways. There's art of Fiona Mimic. Don't ask how I know. Oh no, I'm not looking that up. You know, there are some things that I just don't think I need to see in life. But, argument, you've just did a self-report too. You basically looked that up then. You had to know. Also, hello, Bacon. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're having a wonderful night. The music is fine. Okay, cool. Also, we have, I set this stream to be ultra low latency, I believe, so that the chat can be responded to in real time. But I think it also said that there might be some buffering issues or something like that, so I apologize if something like that happened. My internet has been a little fucky. I don't know what's going on with it, but hopefully we can stay together for a just chatting stream, because I'm not, like, playing the game or doing anything crazy, so hopefully it will be okay. But yeah, apparently the universe did not want me to stream today. My theories are just that good. No. Anyways, so this is kind of how I'm thinking we're gonna break down this stream. I do want to do a little bit of a review of, like, my review of how I feel about the Mimic, or not the Mimic, but the Secret of the Mimic, like the game as a whole. I have some stuff that I want to talk about. I have some takes. I have some takes that I don't know if a lot of other people have. Because here's the thing. I've seen, at this point, I have watched Dawko play Secret of the Mimic. I've watched Eddie VR play Secret of the Mimic. I think I only have, like, one more episode of Eddie's videos to watch. And I've watched some of GT Live, but their videos are very long, so it's hard for me to kind of watch all of them. But I've watched some of GT Live's videos. I've seen the latest game theory video on Secret of the Mimic, and I've also been watching a lot of Rye Toast's videos as well, talking about, like, the story and everything like that. So I, at this point, do actually know all of the stuff that happens in Secret of the Mimic, all of the things that we might have missed. Like Moon.exe, I know how that whole game kind of plays out and everything like that, so I can explain the whole story to everybody. But the reason I do bring this up is because I have, at this point, watched other people play it. And Eddie VR definitely had some glitches and some things in his videos that were very similar to what I was experiencing when I was playing the game. But I didn't really see Dawko have any of those issues. And I at this point, I haven't seen GT Live have any of those issues either. So, I don't know. I just have some takes, specifically towards some of the gameplay stuff that I haven't really seen other people talk about. Because it's been a lot of praise, and I have praise, but I have some not praise as well, so I guess we'll see. Fucky is one way to describe stuff like that. Yeah, no, seriously. I just so happened to find said art while searching for other images. It's raining a lot here. I just noticed Freddy behind you. Yeah, he's funny. I put him on one of the security cameras because I don't know why. It's just funny. Ooh, Eddie. I love that guy. Yo, me too. Eddie VR is my homie. While watching his Secret of the Mimic Let's Play, because I was watching it with my sister because we both like watching Eddie VR, there's a lot of things that he did in his playthrough and, like, said in his playthrough where I'm like, I literally did the same thing. And my sister and me both agree that me and Eddie VR just have to do, like, a collab, obviously. Because, I mean, we're just so clearly so alike. I mean, like, I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff that he was saying, ways he was acting, and I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I did. But at the same time, though, he doesn't know the lore, so some of the things he was saying, I was like, oh my god, dude, what are you talking about? But it's okay. Honestly, I respect that he doesn't know the lore, because I wish I didn't know the lore either. One point to start could be the chase sequences. We will talk about the chase sequences. We will. So anyways, how I want to kind of format this stream in particular is I want to talk about, like, do a review of the game. I have stuff that I want to talk about. And then I want to just discuss... Can my chat stop being so wonky? Okay. But then I also want to explain the whole story and everything that we missed in my playthrough for anybody who maybe only watched my live streams and hasn't really, I don't know, like watched, I'm sure everybody's watched other people play it at this point, but just in the off chance that we don't all know the entire story, I will explain everything. And then we'll jump into some theories and some things that I want to kind of throw out there in the world after that. But yes, also the reason I'm doing this is because I don't necessarily have time right now to do a fully edited and, like, properly scripted and recorded video. So I figured that this is just gonna have to do for right now. I'm still trying to edit the other fucking FNAF video that has just been sitting in my editor program for, like, I think over a month at this point. Like, it's just been something going on. It's been something. So I figured this is probably better, and then we can kind of just do a nice bookend for The Secret of the Mimic. And I guess new FNAF stuff for this year outside of the movie. I don't think more FNAF stuff is coming out this year unless Secret of the Mimic is getting DLC. But I really don't know if it is. I think it should. I think it should. And I'll explain if it does get DLC. I'll explain what kind of DLC I hope it gets. But I guess we'll see. Anyways. We're always wonky. Chat is always wonky. Look at it. It's going into the Ouija board. It's not supposed to do that. I don't feel like trying to fix it again. I guess I should probably try to fix it again. It looks bad. Why is it doing this? Now you guys are so small, though. You make it, like, a little bigger. Well, now it's going into the planchette. Okay, whatever. It's fine. It's fine. That's what we're going with. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna crop chat. Let's just crop chat. What button is crop? Is it this one? Aha! There we go. I fixed chat. Let's go. Can we get a round of applause? I fixed chat. I feel special. Welcome to Wonky Town. Population, I can't count. Can't you just crop the chat? Yes, exactly. There we go. What's that saying? Great minds think alike. That's me and you, K-Dog. Also, K-Dog, I will respond to your message. I saw it on Discord. I've just had a very busy day. But me and K-Dog are going to try to get back to Split Fiction. I just don't know when we're gonna stream it, because you might have noticed, everybody, that my streams are legitimately always very late because I get scheduled for work like pretty early in the afternoon, and then I'm there until late most of the time, so it's becoming a little tricky for me to do streams at like not midnight. I'm just officially becoming a late night streamer, unfortunately. But no, we'll talk about it, K-Dog, I promise. I've just had like, guys, you don't even want to know how my weekend was. It was insane. Like, I can't even begin to explain the crash out I was having on the weekend. It was worse than the Chica crash out. I was just very tired, and it was just very busy. Collab with me again, nerd. I will. I promise. We'll get it sorted. The universe saying no energy to do fun. No, I know. Like, just no time to do anything fun and no energy. And then I was having like a really bad mental health week last week, which I laughed about it. But it truly was something. But I feel better now. So at least there's that. You know what I mean? I'm getting sick of this song a little bit, I think. How long is this song, bro? No, it's only gonna go on for like a minute longer, whatever. I'll just leave it. Anyways, let's actually talk about fucking the secret of the mimic at this point. Jesus Christ. Okay, so mimic review. I don't really know where to start off with. My notes just say, like, gameplay, which, like, I mean, yeah, there definitely was gameplay. No, I think that the overall gameplay of it was pretty good. Like, it felt more like Ruin, than Security Breach, which is actually a really good thing, because I really enjoyed Ruin, and Ruin was more kind of structured, and people were saying that it was more, like, on rails, which I think works really well for a FNAF game, and Secret of the Mimic was kind of done in the same way. Like, there was a lot of places where you could kind of go back and explore, and we didn't get all of the collectibles, and I know that a big part of the going back and exploring was the collectibles, so I didn't 100% experience the really big open world of the factory, but I think that the main game in having you go from place to place through the data diver, and through getting the data diver upgrades was really well done. It felt very structured, but it also kind of gave you that ability to go exploring and stuff like that once you kind of got more access and things. So I did think that that was a good choice that they made. And just how they did the story progression with the data diver was good. So I do like that. I liked a lot of the locations. They had a lot of interesting places and set pieces and all of that stuff. I'm going to talk about the chase sequences now. I didn't like the chase sequences. Like, here's the thing. In games, I understand that there are a lot of games that have chase sequences because it's supposed to be like, oh, your adrenaline is kicking, you're running away from like a villain, and that does work. And it does actually work in Secret of the Mimic in situations where you're trying to hide from the Mimic, or my favorite part of that game, when you're in the basement and you're running away from Tiger Rock, and you can hear his footsteps, like, stomp behind you when you're running from light to light. That is really good, and that invokes that fear that chase sequences, I think, are trying to go for, where you're running and you're like, oh my god, I need to escape, you know, whatever is trying to kill me. But the problem with the actual chase sequences, and when I talk about chase sequences, of course, I'm referring to, like, the one you have with Jackie, where you have to run away from her in, like, I don't know, I don't even know what place that is, but you have to like go under the one area and flip the switches, and she follows you. And then you have the chase sequence with Music Man where he's like on the roof and chasing you, and then like in the office areas or whatever, like. And then Dolly has a chase sequence, which Dolly's was really cool because I liked the concept of Molten Dolly coming out of the, like, incinerator covered in, like melted garbage, and she's all melted. Like, it was really cool, and the music in that section was really, really good. But the fucking execution of that chase sequence was not good, and, like, none of them were good. I didn't like a single chase sequence, and even, like, there was one at the end with the actual mimic, and I didn't like it. And the whole thing about this is, like, when you're actually hiding from the mimic, and it notices you, and it starts, like, booking it towards you, because dude is so fast, you get scared, and you have to run away, and you have to hide and stuff. But the chase sequences were not scary. Like, the first moment of seeing Jackie or seeing Big Top Music Man on the roof, or, you know, Molten Dolly coming out of the wall, that stuff was really interesting to see on the first try. But then you start running away, and it's like, oh, if you make a slight error, you're just gonna die. And I didn't think that that was fun, because it kind of took away all of the scariness of those situations. And especially because once you kind of restart, like, once or twice, it becomes less of a, oh, this is like me running away from a threat, and more of a, this is just a cutscene where I'm running. And if I don't play out the cutscene properly, then I just die. And I have to do it over again. You know what I mean? Like, it lost a lot of its initial fear factor and a lot of its initial charm. And it just wasn't great. And, like, I feel like maybe if they gave you even just a little bit more leeway in some of the chase sequences, and it wasn't like, oh, Arnold stubbed his toe, I guess you're dying now, like, then I wouldn't have this much of a problem with them, I think. But it just became you die and then you have to restart it, and it's like, okay, well, obviously I can't go left, so I guess I'll try to go right, and oh no, I'm stuck on a piece of the environment. I guess I have to restart it all over again. Like, it was just, I don't know. I feel like it could have been done a lot better, and they obviously were all scripted events, but they could have done it so it felt a little bit less like a scripted event, because they had moments like that in the game, which I think is kind of weird, because it's like, obviously Steel Wool knew how to build suspense and knew how to kick in your adrenaline and stuff like that, because they had sequences in the game like that. Like, even after the Dolly chase where she's following you in that little area and then she attacks the elevator, like, that was really good. And that builds tension, and it makes you feel scared and kicks your adrenaline and stuff like that. But the chase sequence just didn't for me. And it didn't for me for any of the characters. So, I don't know. I feel like the game could have done without them. Or they could have been more organic or something. I don't really know. I wasn't a fan of them. I haven't really heard anybody else complain about them. So I'm just like, I feel kind of bad for complaining about them, but I didn't like them. Like, if I'm being completely honest, it was not my favorite part of the game, and it just made me frustrated. So yeah. That one body in the locker was the scariest moment for me. That was so scary. And that's one of the things. Eddie VR actually did the same fucking thing as I did. There's a clip, the clip of me being in that room and being like, oh, we never figured out Bev's age. We have to find Bev's age. And then going, why is this locker here? Eddie VR, I kid you not, did the exact same fucking thing. He literally said, what's Bev's age? And he's like, why is there a locker here? And opened it and got scared. And so so that's just like a funny thing. But that locker jump scare caught me completely off guard and probably scared me the most out of like every jump scare in the game, which is kind of silly because it was just like a random locker that most people wouldn't even open because you only really open lockers to hide in, you know what I mean? So it's just like, I don't know, Steel Wool can obviously scare people, but they chose to do chase sequences instead. I don't know why. Yeah, those were more frustrating than scary after a while. No, exactly. It's like, it just became a, oh, okay, I guess I'm dead now because I got stuck on a piece of the wall. Like, I don't know, it just wasn't great. I'm gonna talk about, I guess, glitches a little bit. I didn't really encounter that many glitches when I was playing the game, but I also feel like I encountered more glitches than, like, other YouTubers I've watched play it, because, like, the game crashed that one day, and then we were having that glitch where the film reel was stuck to Arnold's hand, and I couldn't place it on the machine no matter how hard I tried. And there was other issues with just, like, we didn't get the Chica clipping through the locker thing, but she would just sometimes, like, appear randomly and, like, teleport, and I don't know if she was supposed to do that. Like, maybe she was supposed to do that, but it didn't really seem like it was a mechanic that should have happened, you know what I mean? Like, it was just a little weird. And then, this isn't even a glitch, but getting stuck on the environment was super annoying, and it happened to me so many times where I'd be walking or running or trying to, like, do something quick, and then there would just be, like, this hitbox of some object that would completely stop Arnold, and then I would just die, and, like, that shit was really annoying. And I don't know why that would happen. And then the thing with the puzzles where you have to move the joystick, Arnold's arthritis or his carpal tunnel that was acting up. My God, that was so frustrating. Because I would be moving my mouse and it was just not moving. Like, or I wouldn't be moving my mouse and it would like fling the freaking parade float to the other corner of the room. That wasn't fun. I like puzzles in horror games. Like, I really do, because, like, Silent Hill is probably one of my horror franchises, favorite horror franchises. But, I don't know, like, it was really frustrating to have those be, like, two of the main puzzles, because, like, I'm trying to think of other puzzles that were in the game. But it was mainly just those, because there was 2 sections that had that, but the first section wasn't really that bad. And then the other section was, like, the worst shit ever, because it took me, like, an hour to fucking do. Oh my God. That shit was so annoying to me. And I know a lot of that was also me, like, not understanding and not doing it correctly. But a good chunk of it was also just, I couldn't move the parade float. Like, and that shouldn't be something I'm having issues with in a game, you know? Like, it was just really strange. Not my favorite puzzle, if I do say so myself. I have a note here that just says unfair mimic AI, which is ironic. I mean, like, I don't really know if the mimic AI was unfair, but sometimes, like I said, it would just, like, teleport randomly. And that stuff was quite annoying, and there was a big inconsistency as to if it could get you in a locker or not, because there were many moments where I definitely thought I should have died because it saw me, and I closed the locker, and then it didn't. Sorry. And then it didn't kill me, yeah, and then there was other moments where I feel like I hid properly and it killed me. Like, I don't know, there was inconsistencies there, which was a bit weird. And then I know Fail was talking about how there is a glitch in the Chica admin wing section where Chica can clip through the lockers and, like, kill you, which I think is crazy. We didn't encounter that glitch, thankfully, but that's, like, super frustrating, too. So that's, I guess, unfair Mimic AI, which is ironic. I don't know why I wrote that note down. Yeah, so the last kind of, like, I guess, complaint, I guess, I have written down in my notes is that there wasn't enough time with Jackie. Like, Jackie in the Box, the main animatronic that was, like, on the cover. Oh, actually, I have another... Sorry, I do have notes open here, like I said, but I'm looking at my notes, and again, I wrote these at, like, 3 a.m. yesterday, or I guess... No, I guess it is. It's midnight, so yeah, it was 3 a.m. yesterday. But the not enough time with Jackie thing is what we're talking about here, and that is a part of my notes. But I thought that was all the complaints I had, but there's one more complaint that says, why did everything have to be the Mimic? Which, like, yeah. Oh, God. I'll talk about that in a second, but I just think that's really... Why did everything have to be the Mimic? Because it's so true. Like, I'm getting ahead of myself, but if we remember correctly, Jackie was literally all over the place for the promotional stuff for Secret of the Mimic. Like, she's the icon of the game. She was all over the Steam page. She was in, like, the first trailer for the game. There was, like, a version of her at PAX, I believe, when they had, like, Dawko and FNAF and stuff like that go and, like, try out the game. So, Jackie seemed like she was going to be the main antagonist or the main animatronic of this game. And what? We spent, like, 10 minutes with her? Like, we literally grabbed a crank from her box, and then she chased us, and that was it. She didn't do anything else. Like, don't you guys think that's weird? Like, she was literally all over the fucking place for all the promotional stuff. And I can't stress this enough. She is the icon of the game, like, when you download it. And the list of things she does is get out of her box and chase you and die. I honestly feel like near the end when you're, like, going, you do the goodbye show in the parachute.exe ending, and you go down that kind of, like, hatch that goes to Edwin's house and stuff, I feel like instead of Big Top Music Man being there to, like, come out of the wall and try to kill you, because he does come back at the end, it should have been Jackie. I don't know why it wasn't Jackie. They totally could have done something where she was, like, crawling through, like, pipes or something like that in that section. Like, it really baffles me how underused Jackie was, considering she was all over the place for the promotional stuff for this game. It's very strange to me. There was also the Cupcakes line of sight hitbox. Yeah, like, some of the this is going back to, I guess, when we were talking about the admin wing with Chica. The Cupcake hitboxes were very inconsistent too, because sometimes you would be far away from them and crouching and they would go off, and sometimes you'd be right in front of them and they wouldn't go off. It's like, I don't know. It's a very weird section, that whole admin wing thing. And that code, I found out, so that code that we have to collect in there that we didn't actually get, it doesn't give you anything. You don't get a present or a collectible or anything in that room. It's just lore. Which, like, lore is important, but also lore is something you could just look up. You don't have to go finding that room. Like, just look at somebody else up that did it. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. But yeah, I don't know why Jackie was so underutilized. It was super strange. And she had a really interesting design, and I like the fact that she was a Jack-in-the-Box, but she pulls herself out of the Jack-in-the-Box to, like, come and attack you. It's really cool and really interesting. It's a cool concept, and she has, like, long arms that because she doesn't have legs, so she pulls herself by her arms. That's creepy. That's cool. Why did we see her for, like, 10 minutes? And half of it was a chase sequence. Like, I don't know. It's really weird. I wonder if they wanted Jackie to play a bigger role in the game, or if they wanted her to come back and just it didn't line up with the story that they wanted to tell. Like, I really don't know. I don't know why Jackie was incredibly underutilized. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. The secret of the Mimic was that it stole Jackie's spotlight. No, exactly. The one who never, yeah. William Afton always comes back. Jackie just never comes back. She showed up, served cunt, and left. Which I kind of do respect, but at the same time, it's like, girl, what the fuck? You were supposed to be, like, in the game more, I fear. I don't know, it's just strange. But the secret of the Mimic was that it stole Jackie's spotlight. I think that's a good transition to why did everything have to be the Mimic? Because here's the other thing. This is exactly what I was thinking about, and this might be madman logic, but I'm going to explain something to you guys. So, I don't know how many of you guys have watched Harry Potter or, like, read the books or whatever. J.K. Rowling being a fucking terrible person aside, I have enjoyed Harry Potter. I've owned, like, all the movies. I do like the movies a lot. I haven't read the books, but I do like the movies a lot. But Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, okay? That movie. If you haven't seen it, I'm gonna spoil it, but it's very old at this point. There is a teacher in that movie who is introduced in the beginning named Mad-Eye Moody. And the entire movie, he helps Harry try to win the Triwizard Cup. This, like, tournament. It's like if you watch anime, you know how they have the sports tournament arcs? That's exactly what this is, but it's Wizarding World, okay? So this teacher spends the whole movie helping out Harry Potter. He, you know, bonds with him. They're friends. He, like, takes care of him. He bonds with some other characters. You know, he does a lot of stuff. But at the end of the movie, you find out that it's not Mad-Eye Moody, and it's Barty Crouch Jr., who is a bad guy, who was taking Polyjuice Potion to pretend to be Mad-Eye Moody. And the real Mad-Eye Moody was locked away in, like, a magical chest thing, okay? So, it's weird because when you're finished watching that movie, all of that character development and all of that, like, story and that bond that Mad-Eye Moody makes with Harry Potter is kind of null and void because it wasn't him the entire movie. So it's just, like, a weird thing, you know what I mean? Like, it's extremely weird because it's, like, a lot of people, like Bacon, mad respect to Mad-Eye Moody. I like Mad-Eye Moody too, but the we see him in Goblet of Fire, it's not actually him. So all of that character development is what? It's not for him. It's for the villain of the movie. You know what I mean? So it's kind of just like, do I then like this character, or do I like how the villain pretended to be him? Like, it's just a really weird thing, I guess, with that particular movie. And the reason I bring this up is because this is how I feel about most of the animatronics in this game, because Jackie is not Jackie. Like, we don't actually see Jackie be herself, I guess. We see her be herself for about 2 seconds, where she jumps out of the box and she's just like, oh, let's play. And then that's it, because after that, the Mimic takes over her body, and then it's just the Mimic in Jackie's body. And, like, the Mimic is obviously taking on the character of Jackie while in her, like, I don't know, casing or whatever. But it's not Jackie. So it's just really weird. I don't know. It's like we didn't really see any actual original animatronics in this game because everybody was just the Mimic. Because even Dolly, I like Dolly a lot. I liked her character. I liked her design. I wanted to see her actually be in action. But it's not her. It's not her. It's the Mimic who takes over her after she gets off of her track. And then it's the Mimic from that point on. And at first I thought, no, this is actually just Dolly, but it is the Mimic. There's a cutscene in the elevator once she's on the top. Also, Monkey D. Rajanka, I did see that you're here. Boop, hello. Sorry, I was in the middle of explaining something insane. I was in the middle of explaining the madman logic I was trying to talk about. But, like, I don't know, like, what I was saying about Dolly, I thought maybe that actual, when she got off of her tracks, I thought it was still Dolly, but it's not, it's the Mimic. So when the elevator is going up, you can actually see the Mimic escape Dolly's body before the elevator hits the ceiling. So that also kind of ruins Dolly as a character, because it's not Dolly, and we don't really see Dolly, we just see the Mimic. Big Top Music Man is still kind of an enigma because I don't necessarily think the Mimic actually possessed Big Top Music Man. Also, I think his name is just Big Top, but I just, like, he's Music Man, so I'm just calling him that. But I don't really know. I think Rye Toast actually talked about this too in one of his videos. I don't remember which video it was, so I can't link back to it. But Big Top Music Man might have just had basically like a bouncer mode, because we discovered in Security Breach that DJ Music Man had a faulty bouncer mode where he would try to attack you, and the reason that DJ Music Man in Security Breach was actually attacking you was because of that kind of like glitched out bouncer mode. It wasn't because he was infested by Glitch Trap, which is also the Mimic, so that's another problem, but whatever. But DJ Music Man was not affected by the Mimic, as far as I think everybody's in an agreement. So I don't know if Big Top Music Man actually was infected by the Mimic, or if it was just like a malfunctioning bouncer mode, because he was really just like scanning the crowd and looking to make sure everybody had their tickets. So it could have just been something like that, and when the power went out, it like kicks in or something, like kind of like a security measure. So I don't know. I really don't know if he actually was the Mimic or not. Sometimes the game fell off track. Yes, 100%. Sometimes the game was like Dolly and fell off her tracks. Maybe I'm the Mimic. It's already everything else. Yeah, why did everything have to be the Mimic? Everything is the Mimic. That's the real secret of the Mimic, that everything was the Mimic. But yeah, I don't know. Also, I think probably one of the weirdest things, now that I'm thinking about it, is the fact that the like puppet show with Foxy and Pirate Roxy and Boston and Kit and frickin' Renard, I think was the chef's name. Like that whole like puppet show, the Mimic was not involved in that at all. Like not involved in that sequence, not involved in that portion of the game at all, which is kind of weird. Like, I don't really know where they were going to put the Mimic in that, but, like, that was pretty much the only portion of the game that the Mimic was not directly involved with. And it was just strange. And then I also didn't like the fact that you weren't supposed to shoot the puppets, because, like, every other game in this franchise, you would think that you would have to. Because, like, even in Help Wanted 2, there are little baby plushies that show up in the Phaser Blast and like shooting gallery mini games, and you have to shoot them or you die. So I thought that it was the same thing. Like, we've been told this entire, like, steel wool chapter of games that you have to kill the little animatronics or whatever plushies that come and kill you, or they're gonna kill you. So I don't know what, it was really strange. It was really strange that was a mechanic. And it was not explained that was a mechanic at all. The first games were like, ignore the puppets, we swear. Yeah, it was the first game to do that, because it's like, also that statement, ignore the puppet. In FNAF 2, we were not allowed to ignore the puppet or we would die. So I don't know why suddenly we've flipped it on its head. It was just strange. But yeah, let me talk about, I guess, something that I actually enjoyed about the game. I've just been sitting here like, I didn't like this, I didn't like that, I just didn't like this. To be completely honest with you, I did thoroughly enjoy Secret of the Mimic. Also, David, you have not missed any theory crafting yet. I'm just kind of giving my review of the game still right now. You missed me complaining about everything. That's about it. And also, yes, hello, David. So, I did really like Secret of the Mimic. I thought that it was a well put together game for the most part. Now, here's my thing with Secret of the Mimic. I really like stories in games, like games that tell you a really good, cohesive story. And it's funny because FNAF has never really been that. FNAF has never really been okay, let me explain the story to you. It's always been you kind of have to go out of your way to figure it out and find it. But Secret of the Mimic actually did a really good job with hiding a lot of the lore, but also putting a lot of it out there. And while I do think I had a better understanding of the game because I have read, or at least gotten a summary of the Tales from the Pizzaplex books that talk about the Mimic and talk about Edwin Murray, the game did change a lot of stuff because Fiona in the book series died during childbirth. She didn't die at Fall Fest, which she died at Fall Fest in a fire in Secret of the Mimic, which is just adding more lore to it. So there's slight differences in the book canonicity and also the Secret of the Mimic canonicity. Because the other thing with the books is that Edwin Murray goes to the Pizzaplex in, like, the future. And he gets trapped in the storyteller tree. And he, like, dies there. But it's up in the air if he dies in the Secret of the Mimic or not. Because we hear that audio recording where the Mimic, like, explodes his office. And then Edwin's telling him to call for help, but he doesn't. And we don't see his, like, body or anything like that. So it's undetermined if Edwin is dead or not in the Secret of the Mimic game. I really don't know. I don't have an answer for if he's dead or not. It could go either way, honestly. I'm really not sure. But yeah, that's something that's different from the books and the games, but I think if you go into this game even without having knowledge of the books, it still does actually tell a pretty cohesive story if you listen to the audio recordings and you kind of pay attention to the logs and stuff like that. It tells you a story, which is kind of a first for this franchise. And it gives us a lot of information to actually work off of, which I really, really enjoy. Because we've really moved on from, you know, sitting in a security office, closing doors, and deciphering shit from, like, random posters that show up on a wall. Or, like, digging through source code of websites to see animatronics talking to each other. And brightening up images to see, you know, what's going on or whatever. And we've actually come to a point where here's a cohesive story. Here are established characters with names. And, like, here's what happened to them. You know what I mean? It's really good. And I think that is definitely something that this franchise needs at this point, is a cohesive story and established characters. And the fact that we even got like a player character with a name and a voice is crazy for this franchise. And I would also like to point out that I am very thankful that our main character was not named Mike. Because I think I would go crazy if we had another FNAF game where we play as Michael Afton, because like literally every FNAF game we play as Michael Afton, and it's kind of crazy. But I'm just happy about that. I understand that Security Breach we had Gregory. But is Gregory a character? I mean, I guess he is, but like, I don't know. He's also just an enigma. Arnold was a very, like, relatable guy. I think he was probably, like, one of the first characters that we saw who, I guess, worked for Fazbear, who, like, actually expressed kind of the situations that he's going through at Fazbear. So, yeah. Was the Mimic the Stitch Wraith? No. The Stitch Wraith... It's been so long. It's been so long since last I've seen the Stitch Wraith. No, the Stitch Wraith is... I'm trying to remember this correctly. The Stitch Wraith is basically, it's an endoskeleton that a Professor Phineas something. His name is like Phineas Taghart or something like that. I literally can't remember his name. But he's the scientist who discovered what agony was in the FNAF universe. And the fact that there are certain objects that agony can attach themselves to, and it can be used to like power objects or fill them with energy and stuff like that. So the endoskeleton that is the Stitch Wraith is one that Phineas kind of poured all of his agony into, and it then went off and like started killing people. But it also had two souls because he was experimenting with agony, so he had a lot of things that had agony infused in it, and he kind of melted them down and like did all these experiments and stuff. And then the Stitch Wraith was created from a bunch of different agony. I don't know if there was Remnant in it. I can't remember. But the Stitch Wraith ended up having two souls in it, which was Andrew and this other guy. I'm forgetting his name, but it was two souls trapped in this like Stitch Wraith endoskeleton, and it was going out and it was killing people, but it wasn't meaning to kill people. And that's kind of what it is, but it's not the Mimic. It's like, that is actually, it's possessed. The Mimic is AI, the Stitch Wraith is possessed. And there's like a big divide between kind of old FNAF and new FNAF when possession kind of stopped and AI is the new thing, which I think is kind of strange to say out loud, because of just like the state of the world and where technology is with AI right now, which doesn't make me very happy, but yeah. Anyways, what were we talking about? Well, I don't remember what we were talking about. I was talking about things I liked about the game. Oh yeah, I just like the fact that there's like a cohesive story in this. And there were genuinely some parts that I actually really did enjoy. I like the fact that the collectibles, you could actually use them in a meaningful way in Moon.exe, and it wasn't just like Ruin or Security Breach where you were just kind of checking it off your list, like, oh, I got this collectible, and I got this random plush toy, or whatever the frick, you know what I mean? It was actually, like, genuinely, you would get something in the environment, and then you would use it in Moon.exe, which we never beat, because I wasn't going to go and get all of those collectibles, and we just watched Dawko do it, which, you know what, Dawko took one for the team, and he went and he got all the collectibles, But, you know, I liked that part of it. I thought it was very interesting, even if I didn't complete that. And then, probably one of my favorite sequences in the game, which was one of the few sequences that was actually, like, pure horror, has to be the Tiger Rock section in the basement, where you have to go from light to light while Tiger Rock is chasing you. Playing that with headphones on at nighttime, even though you guys were here, like, chat was here to comfort me, it was very scary. That whole section was very well crafted. You could hear the footsteps, like, well, I could hear them in my headphones. It sounded like it was right behind me. The arrows on the floor telling you where to go, but then, like, sometimes Tiger Rock would appear. It was really good, and it was really scary. And I just wish that there was, honestly, more instances in the game that were like that. Because, you know, playing hide and seek and tag and stuff with the Mimic is only so fun for, like, some time. But, I don't know, like, that whole section was so well done, and it was genuinely scary. Like, even when I think about Ruin and Security Breach, which are obviously Steel Wool's other games that I've played, I have not played either Help Wanted games because I don't have a VR headset, and I also feel like I'd get motion sickness anyways playing those games. But Security Breach didn't really have any moments in it that were, like, pure horror, and, like, there were obviously some jump scares. Did we get an ad? Stupid ads watching peak stream. Did we get an ad? Did you guys get an ad? Why is YouTube Premium being advertised? I'm not even monetized. YouTube. Why is my video paused? That was super weird. The music paused for some real reason, and I don't know why. Anyways, I see now ad. Do you mean no ad? I don't know. Anyways, also, hello Springtrap. Thank you for gracing our stream with your presence. Let's go. Hope you're having a wonderful night. Maybe the real secret of the Mimic is the ads that played along the way. Maybe. Just on my end. Why is YouTube advertising on my stream? I'm not monetized, YouTube. But you're making money off of me, I guess, by advertising YouTube Premium. Hello? Hello, YouTube? Anyways, I don't know. That's weird. But I guess YouTube could do whatever they want with their platform if they want to advertise themselves. But it's just weird because I'm like, I can't get ad revenue. Excuse me, YouTube. Anyways, but yeah, like Security Breach, there was not really any moments that were pure horror. Like the daycare section was kind of really scary, to be completely honest with you. But again, that was like only one, that was probably like the only one section. And I think it's kind of funny because that daycare section in Security Breach was also like in the dark, and you had to kind of turn on the lights and stuff like that. But that was very scary. And you may be just thinking, well, King, you're just afraid of the dark. And, like, you're correct. But I don't know. Security Breach only really had that one moment. Ruin had a lot of interesting, creepy set pieces. But I don't think there was a moment in Ruin where I was, like, terrified. You know what I mean? But the Tiger Rock basement section in Secret of the Mimic, I was terrified. That was very scary. That was the FNAF Security Breach daycare section, amped up to like an 11. And Steel Wolves should definitely do more sequences like that, because it genuinely was really scary. So I did enjoy that part of the game as well. It's 2025. Where piracy sites have less ads than YouTube. True. Also, if Mimic is quote-unquote glitch glitch trap. Is Mimic just William Afton again? No, yes and no. Like, I don't know. See, this game kind of throws a lot of stuff into question because Glitch Trap is supposed to be the Mimic program. But I don't, because again, this game has now introduced the fact that there's the Mimic 1 program and the Mimic 2 program. And this was kind of touched on in the books because I'm pretty sure Fazbear did get a hold of the Mimic 1 program and they used it to be put into the storyteller tree. Because Edwin finds out that it's running the Mimic 1 program because the Mimic 1 program is like a thing. But then the Mimic 2 or M2 is the actual endoskeleton, which I guess we didn't really know that they were M1 and M2 at the time of like the books and stuff like that. But there was a Mimic program that was solely computer based that was used by Fazbear Entertainment to make things in the Pizzaplex, like the storyteller tree, which would come up with like its own narratives and stuff like that. And then there was always this other Mimic that was in an endoskeleton that would kill the employees and stuff. But the problem that I have, the problem that I have now is the fact that in the secret of the Mimic, the actual secret of the Mimic, what we find out is the secret, is that Edwin made M1 to replace his dead wife, Fiona. That's what he did. And when his son David passed away, Fiona as M1, or the Mimic program, told him to make M2, which is another Mimic, to mimic David, so that the family could be back together. So, and the M2 program is the one that kind of Edwin gets angry and he beats the shit out of it, and then it learns violence. So if we kind of apply that to the, I don't know, if we apply that to the books, then obviously, and even in Ruin, that like endoskeleton that we see at the end of Ruin and in the books that's killing the Fazbear employees would be the one that they made to mimic David, so that's M2, and then it learned violence. And like, that's fine, and that makes sense, and I understand that, and that works for the narrative. But where this gets a little confusing for me and like hard to kind of figure out is what we're doing with M1. And also in the same breath as like Glitch Trap, because here's the thing, and I'll explain the story here as well. I'll try to go as fast as I can with the story because I do want to talk about just some theories that I want to throw out there into the world. But if M2 is the Mimic endoskeleton that we see at the end of Ruin, and it makes sense and it lines up, like that does make a lot of sense, then M1, which is Fiona, and was put into the Mexis console and all of that shit, must be the Mimic program that was put into the Help Wanted 1 game that then took on the Glitch Trap persona. Now, the problem with this is that when playing Secret of the Mimic, it is highly theorized that the only reason that M1 actually worked in mimicking Fiona is it was possessed by her as well. And the reason that this is theorized, or this has kind of come up in conversation, is because there's audio recordings around Murray's Costume Manor that will say that Edwin actually was looking through some of the frequencies on the radios, and he was hearing Fiona's voice after she passed away. And there's a logs that you can find where he's asking other employees if they've heard Fiona, if they can hear her at certain frequencies, and like all of this stuff. And it's, I don't know, it's highly hinted that there is some type of supernatural element that's at play with Fiona and her like death and the mimic program and all of that stuff. So I don't know. It's just weird to fully understand if that is the same mimic program that is Glitch Trap or was scanned in those circuit boards in the Help Wanted games. Is it possessed or is it not? Because there's this information that obviously was brought in about Fiona's spirit, and even the fact that Edwin keeps saying, like, he doesn't know why M1 worked. Like, he says it, he's like, he doesn't know why it worked the first time, and he doesn't know what he's gonna do because it just started mimicking Fiona, like, perfectly, and he doesn't really understand why, because M2 that he's creating to be David is not working correctly. And this actually goes into something that Rye Toast talked about in one of his videos as well, where when we play Moon.exe, which is a very interesting game, but the long and short of it is you play as the Mimic, or M2. So the one that was designed to be David. You play as that in Moon.exe. The Moon is Edwin, who keeps sending you back to bed if you get out of the house or you get out of your room. And when you do get out of the house, you save a baby owl from a crocodile who's trying to eat it. And this baby owl kind of like appears and is following you around the map a little bit. But as you progress further, you go to this like cabin in the woods. And there's this woman inside the cabin who is the sun. And her sprite is the exact same sprite that we see in the Parachute.exe ending when Fiona is talking to us through like the Mexis console. Or I guess it's called like the F10-04 or something like that. F10N4. But it's just Fiona. Like, I'm just gonna call it Fiona. But that same sprite that's in the game that is the sun is used when Fiona is talking to you in the Parachute.exe ending. So we can assume then that this woman or the sun that is in this Moon.exe game is Fiona. And you meet her in this cabin and you help her kind of like fix these masks together, and as a reward, she gives you a baby owl mask. And there's a little detail that if you go to the stove behind her, you can actually look inside and it says like, oh, it smells like chicken that she's cooking. So she's cooking some sort of like chicken or bird or something like that. And when you proceed to go back, you find that the baby owl is actually gone once you get this baby owl mask. And if you ask the character of Sun, who is Fiona, if you ask her about it, she says like, oh, he flew away. But it's very much hinted at that she killed him and then gives you this baby owl mask. And when you put on the baby owl mask to go into the cave, the Moon, who is supposed to be Edwin in this scenario, starts crying. So all of this kind of means that the baby owl is supposed to represent David. So David dies, obviously. And then the mimic starts trying to be him, or starts trying to mimic him. And that's the whole thing of, like, you play as the mimic in Moon.exe. But David is still alive when you are the mimic. And then when you get the baby owl mask, David dies, and then the mimic starts being David with this owl mask, and he's mimicking David so much that, you know, when he puts this owl mask on the Moon, or Edwin starts crying, you know what I mean? So it's very much like saying this, but this goes back to the whole, is the M1 actually possessed by Fiona? Because in order for M2 to work, which it does actually work. It works so well that he's mimicking David perfectly and he makes Edwin upset, right? So does someone then have to die, and then is there a possession element that's being played into this? And that's kind of like a big question that was brought up in this game. And the other thing is, in Moon.exe, is the fact that Fiona, or this, like, son, kills David because she clearly kills the baby owl so that the M2 can pretend to be him. And when we play the game and we see those tapes and stuff, you can hear Edwin saying to Fiona, oh, can you go get David from his playground? And then that's when he dies. So the last person to actually be with David before he died was the Mimic. Or, like, Fiona version of the Mimic. So there is an argument to be had here that the Fiona Mimic knew that the second Mimic would not work properly if David was not dead and killed him. So I don't know, like, it's a lot to think about and it's a lot to digest. But again, if that's the case, then I just don't understand the whole glitch trap thing. Because glitch trap is supposed to be the Mimic 1 program then. But the Mimic 1 program, is it possessed by Fiona or not? Like, I don't know. Like, that's where it's something that's really confusing to me. And it very much could be a situation where Fazbear just took the Mimic program itself and copied it over and maybe messed some stuff up in the process, or, like, I don't know. Like, they could have just copied it and made their own version of it, because I think they do that in the storyteller tree in the books. But clearly Edwin's Mimic program was not working without, like, a soul attached to it. So it's possible. Well, actually, now that I think of it, because there's that book, The Man in Room Whatever number, that's in the original Fazbear Frights book series, that talks about this guy who should be dead, but he's being tormented by a kid in an alligator mask, and he's having nightmares and stuff, which is very much a representation of Ultimate Custom Night and William Afton being trapped there by Golden Freddy to, like, continuously just live through this torment. And I get, like, at the end of that book, he wants to die or something, so they wheel him out to a Fazbear location, and then he, like, dies there. It explodes. And it's said that there were, like, Fazbear stuff in there, so, like, probably circuit boards. So I guess it would be possible if, like, there was a version of the Mimic 1 program in there, and then if William Afton died and kind of exploded and then attached himself to the Mimic 1 program and it had, like, that soul attached to it, I guess that could have created Glitch Trap. I mean, it does work, which is unfortunate because I wish it didn't, but it does work if you think of it with crazy person logic, I suppose. I never thought of this comparison until now, but given the correlations of Edwin not caring for real-life David, and M2 is, in a sense, him physically abusing his child, maybe. Like, it basically would be, you know what I mean? Because he, like, beats it up. Which I still think is really funny. Like, I know that that's probably not funny, but the fact that there's even an audio recording where he gets, like, mad, you can hear him, like, hitting this fucking endoskeleton. I don't know, it's just silly to me. Because we know he beat M2, that was replicating David, but is that just showing his true intentions in a way he couldn't before? I don't know. I think it's just talked about that it's, like, grief, and he's, like, really strucken with grief, and he doesn't want the Mimic to mimic his son because he's just, it's too real for him, I think is what it is supposed to mean, but that is a valid point. It's all very interesting and strange. But, I don't know, to give a TLDR of the events, I did kind of talk about Moon.exe a little bit there, so that's some of the basic information that game does hold. Once you actually put on the baby owl mask in that game, you then go through the cave and you actually arrive at the MCM facility. And you go through pretty much everything that Arnold went through. So you go through, like, the different places. You start in the Big Top showroom. You kind of get rid of all of the animatronics. I think for Dolly, you, like, help her finish her tasks. You help Big Top Music Man with something. And then for some reason, Jackie gets, like, sucked into a shoe. I don't really understand what that means. But she gets, like, put into a shoe. I wish I was joking that happens to her. And so you basically help the other animatronics, and then Jackie just gets fucked over, I suppose. And then at the end, you go into David's room, or you go back into David's room and you open the closet, and inside the closet is the final upgrade to get the glitched permissions on your data diver, which allows you to go into those, you know, those doors that I ran into in my playthrough that had those, like, yellow lights all over it. Those doors you can unlock, and then you get the cassette tapes to get that ending where you fix the mimic, which we saw on Doggo's video. So, Moon.exe is a very interesting game. There's a line in Moon.exe right after you kind of, like, put on the baby owl mask. Oh, I forgot to mention, you put on the baby owl mask, you go into this cave, but then you also rebuild your body, and you rebuild it, and it looks like Moon from Security Breach, which is really strange. And speaking of Moon from Security Breach, once you get out of the cave, Mr. Helpful says to you, he says, you fixed yourself, but you are split in two, sun and moon, good and evil, or something like that. It's really weird. I've seen a lot of people talk about the fact that they think that means that, you know, the sun and moon, or Eclipse, or whatever you want to call him, those animatronics, the daycare attendant animatronic, has, like, a mimic program. I've seen people say that you play as Sun and Moon in that game. Personally, I think I interpret that line as, you know, you fix yourself, but you're broken, you Sun and Moon, evil and good, is the mimic trying to fight with itself, because it was designed to be David and be good, because David was, like, an innocent child, but then it learned violence from Edwin, so it's split in two, and it has these conflicting personalities. Personally, I think that's what that line says. I don't think that it's much deeper than that, I guess. But I don't know. This franchise has a lot of things that are way deeper than they need to be, so it could also be something more literal. I'm really not sure. This franchise has so many illogical connections. Yeah, it was a really weird line. Like, it is a weird line to just throw in there where it's like sun and moon, good and evil, blah, blah, blah. Especially when we have established characters who are sun and moon. And especially when you rebuild the body and it looks like one of those established characters. So I understand that it's very confusing. But, you know... But yeah, that's pretty much, I think, story-wise, what we might have missed in regards to Moon.exe. Because we got the Parachute.exe ending, which a lot of people kind of think is the true ending. The one ending we did not get is if you do return the data diver, which I showed Doggo's footage of this, you find out that the Mimic was talking to you all along, which we kind of already knew, like, right at the beginning. And it just got the data diver back with the permissions or whatever. And then Fazbear gets angry. and the Mimic escapes. And the Mimic escapes in the Parachute.exe ending and also takes the Data Diver in that ending too. Which leads everybody to believe that the canon endings are either the first or Parachute.exe. I think Parachute.exe is probably the canon ending. And then the secret ending where David is saved is not canon. There's no way that it can be canon in the grand scheme of things. So, yeah. For God's sakes, the purple guy is just several bits of his soul floating around fucking cyberspace metaverse. Which purple guy, though? Because there's two of them. There's the literal purple guy, and then there's William Afton, because, you know, we can't have anything simple in this franchise. And then also William Afton is orange in Midnight Motorist, which Midnight Motorist makes me so fucking angry. Like, if I have one FNAF thing, one piece of FNAF lore that makes me so mad and, like, confuses the fuck out of me, it's Midnight Motorist. Midnight Motorist makes me so angry, and the fact that we do not have a clear fucking answer for Midnight Motorist is insane at this point. Like, it's crazy. We do not have an answer for that. Like, there's a lot of theories and a lot of information that's like, oh yeah, maybe that could be a thing. But there is no clear fucking answer. And Midnight Motorist also makes me angry because it's like, yeah, it's just like a random scene of, like, William Afton's nightly activities. But why? Like, I don't know. It's the one thing that I think if I had the option, because I think a lot of people who play FNAF and, like, theorize about FNAF, they have that, like, one thing that if they could ask Scott Cawthon himself, what the fuck did that mean? Like, that's what they would do. Mine is Midnight Motorist. I don't give a shit about Chica's beak not being there in FNAF 2 or what's in the FNAF 4 box. I actually don't care. I only care about what the fuck was Midnight Motorist. What did it mean? What did it mean? Why does it exist? Why was it shown to us? I do not understand Midnight Motorist. I'm gonna cry, you know? Lurking, this shit hurts my brain. I am low-key getting a headache. Trying to explain it, I'm low-key getting a headache. I'm gonna go so insane, I'll become the third purple guy. Please. That's my end game. Is becoming the third purple guy. Oh my god. Anyways, but yeah, as for story bits, I guess that's pretty much it. Like, we all know what happened. Fiona died at Fall Fest. Edwin was upset. He made a mimic version of her that may or may not be possessed. We don't know. And then she became his wife as a robot. He might have gotten freaky with her. We don't know. This is information we do not have a confirmation on. And then David was there. He died also. And then Edward made a second mimic. And then that's it. Like, I don't know. That's the story, basically. That's the secret of the mimic. I don't know. But here, so, in regards to theories, I did touch on some briefly with the moon.exe stuff. It's true, I was there and died. So, yeah, David is here right now to tell us firsthand what actually happened. And he did, in fact, die. No, but I touched on some of the theory stuff when I was talking about moon.exe. And in particular, stuff that's been theorized and stuff that I also agree theory-wise is the fact that, you know, you play as the Mimic 2 or M2, and I do think that M1, while mimicking Fiona, probably did kill David. Like, she probably didn't mean to. I think it was just like a programming thing where she was like, oh, Edwin is sad. And the reason that M1 worked is because Fiona is dead. So David has to be dead for this one to work. Like, I think it was just a situation like that. Do I think that she is possessed? I'm not sure. That's something I honestly am not sure about. Honestly, maybe she isn't possessed. I'd probably say that she isn't possessed, because if she is actually possessed by Fiona's ghost or whatever the frick, then Glitch Trap becomes extremely questionable, and it's hard to really decipher, I guess. But speaking of Glitch Trap, and this is something I mentioned at the beginning of the video with my crazy statement of Fiona is Vanny, which is still a fucking... That's like Sans is Nest level of just insane shit to say. But I want everybody to hear me out for a second. I want everybody to think about this for a second. I understand timeline-wise, this could be not a good fit. But I want to throw this out into the world for everybody. And this is like my big controversial theory, I guess, for this stream. This is something I'm throwing out into the world, okay? So, Fiona, we know, died at Fall Fest in a fire. Fall Fest was burned to the ground. Why Fall Fest was burned to the ground, I have no idea. I don't want to listen to this song. It honestly is not hitting as much as I thought it would. So we'll listen to Super Mario World instead. But yeah, why Fall Fest was burned to the ground, I don't know. Side tangent here, if they do DLC for this game, I hope it's Fall Fest. Like, legitimately, we need some concrete answers for what the fuck happened at Fall Fest and why it burnt down, because we keep getting hints of it and being like, oh yeah, Fall Fest happened. It burned to the ground. There was a carousel, and Sun and Moon were there for some reason, but we have not gotten, like, clear information about what the fuck happened at Fall Fest, why it burned to the ground, and what the situation was, but we know it burned down. And now we know that Fiona died there. So, the Fiona is Vanny thing. How do I want to explain this? Let me kind of start at the beginning here. So I was watching Rye Toast again. He has a lot of really good theories, by the way. If you are not subscribed to Rye Toast, then you should definitely go subscribe to him. Let me pull up his channel, actually, because I'm going to give him a nice shout out. Rye Toast. And I'll post the video that I actually got this information from. Or kind of started thinking about this theory from. But this is Rye Toast's channel. So you guys, go check out Rye Toast. He has a lot of, like, interesting shit, honestly, on his channel. He has a lot of really cool theories, lots of gameplay, stuff like that. But the particular theory that I want to point out of his, which I'm trying to find right now. There is so much shit in my watch history. I've been rewatching Markiplier play Franbo for some reason, but it's very good. Also, I fell asleep watching YouTube yesterday, and I guess I watched half of a 100%ing Papa's Pizzeria playthrough or something, which I do not remember watching because I, like, fell asleep. But here it is. Here is the video that I kind of got some of this idea from. And it's about Help Wanted 2, and it's about Vanny. But Rye Toast has a lot of really good points in his video, and it helped me kind of understand where I guess I was trying to come from this particular thought that I had. But I took it in a little bit of a different direction. So I still don't really know where I want to start with this, but Rye Toast, let me explain the video in brief sections here. He talks about the Vanny mask and Vanny as a particular character and kind of where Vanny is now. Because obviously in Security Breach, if we consider the Princess Quest ending the canon ending, which I think a lot of people have come to the conclusion that it probably is, Vanessa, the security guard in Security Breach, is freed from the Vanny control. But in Help Wanted 2, Vanny is still there at the end of the game. We see her in that claw machine. Now, I know in the past I have talked about the fact that Vanny is baby. So I've actually already made the claim of Sans' nest with Vanny before, but I'm gonna do it again. Rytos does talk about the fact that there's one particular Tales from the Pizzaplex book. I can't remember what it's called now. It's like Pizzaplex. It's like B... Is it B7? Yeah, it's B7. So there are two stories in Tales from the Pizzaplex called B7 and B7-2. And B7 is about this guy who he thinks he's an animatronic. Like, it's really hard to explain. But he spends his whole life thinking he's an animatronic. And he basically starts to alter his body to get more animatronic parts and become more of an animatronic. And in what ends up happening is, like, he ends up getting rushed to the hospital, and then they're able to take these animatronic parts off of him, but the animatronic parts kind of have a mind of their own. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because if you connect it with Vanny, in those stories, it talks about the fact that the only way to kill the entity, so the only way to kill this, like, animatronic kind of possession or whatever the frick it is, you have to kill the host. So if the host doesn't die, then it can just move on to somebody else. If you apply this to Vanny as a character, then even though Vanessa is free from her, the host did not die with that Vanny kind of persona possessing her. So it, like, moved on to somebody else. And with Security Breach Ruin and Cassie getting that Vanny mask, it was theorized in Ryto's video that she was kind of picked out to be the next host for this Vanny persona. Now, the reason I bring up this concept is because I do think that that's probably true. Like, it does make a lot of sense. And I want to state that maybe the Vanny persona and this, like, virus or whatever the frick it is that is inside of the Vanny mask or whatever perhaps started at Fall Fest. Now, the reason I am saying this is because in the Dreadbear DLC, that is where we get the Vanny mask. And the Dreadbear DLC is very much advertised all over the place that it's Fall Fest. Like, when you're in the barn, when you die and stuff like that, you see Fall Fest pictures, I believe, but it says, like, Fall Fest. It's, like, definitely a Fall Fest type of thing. And it seems like a fall fair in concept. Like, you're there and it has, like, streamers and posters and all of this stuff that says, like, Fall Fest, blah, blah, blah. And inside the corn maze at Fall Fest is where you find the Vanny mask. And it's, like, this secret thing. So it leads me to kind of think maybe this Vanny mask thing existed before Glitch Trap, because, you know, everybody talks about, like, oh, well, Glitch Trap possessed Vanessa in the Help Wanted game, and it took over her, and if you put on the Vanny mask and you hold the Glitch Trap doll, then you hear this, like, audio, but do we play as Vanessa in Help Wanted? Like, do we? Because a lot of people say, like, oh, yeah, like, it happened, you know, like, through the emails in FNAF AR or whatever. It's like, yeah, Vanessa is definitely being possessed by Vanny, and I agree with that. I do agree with that. And maybe we do play as Vanessa in Help Wanted. But do we play as Vanessa in the Dreadbear DLC? Because I don't know if we do. Like, that's my thing. I don't know if we actually do. Also, hello, Jujuka. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're having a lovely night. Good night, all. I am happy to catch a couple of minutes of stream. Hey, thank you for catching a couple of minutes. I like to read more of waking up to YouTube autoplay, but I need to catch a train. No worries. Well, thank you for coming and saying hi. I appreciate it. It's very nice seeing you tonight. Don't forget the fire. So much nice, warm, comforting fire. But yeah, like, so maybe we do play as Vanessa in Help Wanted, but I don't know if we play as her in the Dreadbear DLC. That very much had Fall Fest plastered the fuck everywhere. You know what I mean? And if that's the case, then the Vanny mask was found at Fall Fest. It was not found in Help Wanted. It was found in the Dreadbear DLC. And it was found in a barn, in a corn maze, at something that has Fall Fest written all over it. You know what I mean? And another thing I want to point out is the Vanny mask that we find in Fall Fest, in the Dreadbear DLC, does not look like Vanny's actual costume. It looks similar, but there are differences, and they're kind of big differences. Like, they don't look the same. So it's my idea or my theory or my thoughts that the Vanny mask that we find at Fall Fest in the Dreadbear DLC is not the same as the one that actual Vanessa makes, because it doesn't look the same, and it could just be like, oh, design change, but there's so many little details and shit that's in FNAF that sometimes the design change, I don't know if it's a design change or if it's something I should be paying attention to, so I'm paying attention to this one, because it doesn't look the same. And the one, actually, I'm gonna look this up. I think the Vanny mask in Ruin. Yeah, the Vanny mask that you get in Ruin looks like the one that you find in the Dreadbear DLC. It actually is exactly the same. It's exactly the same. But Vanny's costume doesn't look like that. They're clearly very different masks. Now, when we are in Help Wanted 1, because people always say, like, oh, when you put on the Vanny mask and you hold the glitch trap doll, like, you can hear Vanessa talking. It's not Vanessa. They sound completely different. It doesn't sound like Vanessa. It sounds like a completely different woman. Like, it does. It doesn't sound like Vanessa. And, like, you know, she talks about, like, oh, yeah, I've picked somebody out. Nobody will suspect a thing. It will be fun, whatever. But, like, it doesn't sound like Vanessa. So I am led to believe that maybe it's not Vanessa. And you know what? It doesn't sound like Fiona either. So maybe it's not Fiona. But clearly, this Vanny mask, this Vanny thing, has been a thing since Fall Fest. And maybe William Afton was killing people in a rabbit suit when Fall Fest was going on. You know what I mean? Like, maybe he was. Maybe he started his killing of children early on and he needed an apprentice. And maybe that's what Vanny is. Maybe Vanny has been here since the beginning too, and we just haven't really realized it. And the whole thing with the, like, oh, because in Help Wanted, whoever's talking, it's not Vanessa. I'm almost 100% sure that it's not Vanessa who's talking in Help Wanted. But when the girl is talking, she's like, oh yeah, I made it myself, you would like it, blah, blah, blah. She's obviously talking about the Vanny mask, but, like, the one that we see in Ruin is obviously all high tech and a bunch of stuff is happening and it's been upgraded with AI stuff. And I think the one that we actually find in the Dreadbear DLC that's at Fall Fest is not like that. So it's very possible that William Afton might have been killing people already at this point at Fall Fest. Maybe not at Fall Fest, but at this point in the Fall Fest realm. and he needed like an underling to help him. And he found somebody, I guess Fiona, in my theory. It's probably not Fiona. Fiona is Vanny is a crazy statement, and that's like a, you know, like a clickbait ass thing. But maybe it is Fiona, maybe it's not Fiona. There's not really a lot of evidence to suggest that it would be Fiona. So maybe it's not Fiona, but let's say it's somebody else. And maybe it's just somebody that William Afton found who he wants to kind of help him with his killing spree. And they make this bunny costume to basically, you know, work with him and kill people. And they want to do something at Fall Fest. And this girl says, like, yeah, I found somebody. Nobody will suspect a thing. Well, we're going to do it at Fall Fest. I'm going to kill this kid as, like, my initiation into the cult of William Afton at Fall Fest. And if this is the case, because this could go one or two ways. If it is Fiona, which it probably isn't, but let's say it is. We know in Secret of the Mimic that Fiona says, like, I don't know what it is, but I have to go to the Fall Fest to help set up. And also, Fiona knows how to sew, and she knows how to make puppets. So she could have made the mask, because it's like, oh yeah, I made it myself, and it's hand-sewn. Like, you could definitely see that the Dreadbear DLC mask is hand-sewn and everything like that. So it's very possible that it could be Fiona, and she's just like, oh yeah, I have to go because I have to help out, and, you know, I just have this feeling I have to be there. And this could be one of two things. It could be the fact that Fiona is lying to Edwin and going to Fall Fest to be with William Afton and, like, kill a kid or something. Or it could be a situation where the Vanny mask actually does possess people. Because if it's a situation like Vanessa, she kind of, it was established she had these two separate personalities. And this is the whole thing of, like, the Vanny mask. If you, like, don't kill the host while it's being possessed, then it will just move on to the next person. And, you know, it could be a situation where it was possessing Fiona in this moment, and she had these two different personalities, and one was like, I'm gonna go kill kids with William Afton, and the other one was, you know, herself. So it's like, and then also, the other thing is with the Moon.exe, that Fiona, that son who we've associated with the M1 program, is sewing masks. She's making masks and fixing masks in that game. So it's weird. And she kills David in that game. So, like, I don't know. There's stuff that does line up for this if I really want to be, like, a crazy person and pull out my crazy person logic and be like, yeah, Fiona is Vanny. And that's a crazy statement, but there is stuff that kind of lines up with it. And it could be a situation where she is possessed by the mask, or she is being under the control of William Afton, or whatever the frick. Or maybe she just always kind of was a little evil. You know what I mean? And the other thing is we can go back to that statement now about you're split in two, sun and moon, good and evil. Maybe the sun is the evil part. Because the moon doesn't kill you in Moon.exe. He actually also helps you when you drink the poison. And he just kind of sends you back to bed. So is the moon actually evil, or is the sun evil? Is Fiona evil then? Was she the first Vanny? Like, it's very possible. And the thing is like, she goes, like, because, like, it could work either way, where if it's somebody else that we don't know, and Fiona gets kind of wind of it, and she's like, I don't know, I have this bad feeling I have to go to Fall Fest and help the crew because I think something bad's gonna happen, and it's somebody else who's being Vanny and William, and maybe they kill the first person at Fall Fest or something like that, and Fiona says she has to go there because she thinks something bad's gonna happen, and it's this, like, planned murder that William Afton and whoever's being Vanny is planning at Fall Fest. And at that point, it's like, did Fiona maybe start the fire because she knew that this person was being possessed or something? Or did something go wrong and a fire happened? Or did somebody know, like, someone was going to kill a kid? Or so, like, there's a lot of things that kind of come into play if you think about it that way. But I really do think that Vanny has been a thing since Fall Fest. And it could be, you know, the mask is haunting people or whatever, possessing people. Or it could just be somebody, you know, wanted to join William and have like a Harley Quinn Joker shenanigan going on. You know what I mean? And it could even be a situation where whoever was Vanny in that moment died, and then their spirit possessed the mask. And then that's why you have these two separate personalities now when everybody else puts on this mask, because it's possessed by whoever was originally Vanny, be it Fiona or be it somebody else, you know? Like, there are things that kind of line up with this, and I know I sound insane, but I don't know. There's information that kind of works with this, and there's information that also works with it being Fiona. Because Fiona is seen to be making masks and stuff like that. And I know that it's supposed to be the sun in the moon.exe. A lot of people think it's M1, so it's the Fiona mimic. But what if it is actually just mimicking Fiona? Like, what if that was her actions? What if she did actually kill a kid and was Vanny? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It kind of makes some sense to me anyways. Or I could just be saying a bunch of shit. I don't know. But that's kind of like something that I was thinking about. I'm like, this could kind of work. And it makes sense because I don't see anybody talking about the fact that the Vanny mask that we find in Curse of Dreadbear was technically found at Fall Fest. Like, I don't think anybody has talked about that. It's always just been like, oh no, well, obviously you just play as Vanessa and then she's possessed by the mask. But it's like, but we found it in the Fall Fest DLC. You know? Like, I don't know. Pop-off game devs and book authors throw logic in a wood chipper, yeah. Maybe the moon is just doing its job. No, exactly. And this is why most people should not have kids raise them. So shit like this does not happen, of course. Hoofman Vanny was a trendsetter for their time. No, like, it I don't know. I really do have a feeling that Vanny is something that already existed back in the 70s. I do think that William Afton had, like, an underling. And this was kind of talked about before by a couple of theorists where they say, like, oh no, William Afton must have had somebody, like, helping him or wanted somebody to help him. And I think in the books there was, like, some type of plushie or something that would, like, lure the kids in so William could kill them. So he never really kind of worked alone in his killing. And this kind of does make some sense if he had a partner in crime since the beginning. And I don't want to go out and say, like, oh, it's definitely Fiona, because that there's definitely some holes in that. But there are some things that work with it, and that's, like, an unfortunate statement. So maybe the statement isn't Fiona is Vanny, and maybe it is Fiona was the first Vanny. Because the other thing is like, if she, because it's a situation where she either knows that something bad's gonna happen and she's gonna go to Fall Fest and then chaos breaks down and it burns down or whatever. Maybe she burns it down. But if Fiona is Vanny, then she would have lied to Edwin in that tape to go to Fall Fest and, you know, try to kill a kid or whatever with William Afton. And maybe an accident happened and a fire happened, or maybe somebody did it on purpose, you know? This is why I think we need a Fall Fest DLC. Because if we have a Fall Fest DLC, we can get some of these answers. And we can have a greater understanding of whatever the frick is going on in this, this game. This tablet drawing looking nice for this collab I'm in. Hey, let's go. Guys, I haven't drawn in like so long. I really have not had the energy to draw, and I feel bad. I wish I drew more. We haven't had any drawing streams, and I haven't drawn like anything lately, which sucks. I've been trying to get back into drawing just by like sketching like random stuff to try to like get my motivation back, but my god, I have like the worst art block in the entire world right now. But anyways, that's completely besides the point. So I guess in terms of theories, I think that was like my biggest one. Like, I can't really think of anything else that I wanted to talk about specifically for this game in terms of theories. I think a lot of stuff was already covered in a lot of the other theories as to kind of what's up with a lot of the story and stuff like that. And Moon.exe is something that is definitely being theorized a lot. A lot of people have also talked about the Candy Cadet story that's in Ruin relating to Moon.exe, because in Moon.exe, Fiona lives in a cabin in the woods. And that's talked about in the Candy Cadet story as like there was a girl who lived in a cabin in the woods and there was a witch and she like left with a scar or something like that. Actually, hold on a minute. Candy Cadet Ruin story. I want to know what the actual story is. From Ruin. The Woman in the Witch, yes. Or was this in Ruin or no? Was this in... This was in Help Wanted 2, yes. Ruin is the mother and the child, which is like the monster learned the lullaby. So that one was all about the mimic. The mother and the little boy who lived alone in the cabin in the dark woods. Oh, that's the one. The Woman and the Witch is the one that I was talking about where she, like, got scarred. Young woman was tired and would kill the witch in the morning. She followed the boy in the house. The oven door closed and the witch would finally have her meal. Mother and little boy lived alone in a cabin in the dark woods. So both of these are a dark forest and a cabin in the woods. Both of these kind of have that as a set piece. There was a monster in the woods, but the mother caught it and kept it locked in the basement. The monster always made scary noises at night, but the mother would tell the boy not to worry because it could never get out. I'd have to think about this a little bit more because I'm wondering if one of these kind of relates... Because we do have that set piece of, like, the cabin in the woods. And was led astray. She had escaped before being thrown into the oven, but would have a scar for the rest of her life. And when she had grown, she sought revenge on the witch and entered the forest again willingly. This time, with the confidence of age and experience, she was greeted at the mouth of the forest by a young boy who offered to help guide her through this darkness. The woman welcomed the help and followed the young boy over the river, through the jagged trees, and towards a small house. Yeah, she followed the boy into the house. The oven door closed. The witch had finally had her meal. Because, like, this also with the oven and stuff, like, that's also a fire. So, I don't know, because I don't think the woman and the witch, I don't think we have, like, a specific answer for what this particularly was from Help Wanted 2. Like, because a lot of people said, oh, the young woman is Vanessa and the boy is Gregory, and he, like, led her into, I guess, Glitch Trap or something like that. I don't really freaking know. Because there's the whole other thing in GGY, that story, where Gregory is also under the control of Glitch Trap, and he goes by the name Dr. Rabbit. But I think that might be for another time. I still really have to... I have to think about this one story with the scar for the rest of her life, and she had grown and she came back. I don't know. It's weird. The Candy Cadet stories are weird. I really think that we need a Fall Fest game. Or one of the animatronics malfunctioned and sparked onto some hay at Fall Fest, which started the fire. Yeah, like it could have been an accident. The fire foxy that chases the player in the maze in the DLC. Yeah, exactly. Isn't it a son and his mother with the monster in the basement that behave like the mimic? Yeah, I'm pretty sure the mother and the child one, where the monster learns the lullaby, that's just about the mimic. But this woman and the witch one is a little interesting to me. And that's the one that I would want to kind of think about a little bit more and dive into a little bit more. But I'd have to think about that. But yeah, anyways, Fiona is Vanny. That's my theory. I wonder if somebody has talked about this before. I'm just gonna look up Fiona is Vanny. No. I'm not seeing Reddit posts about it. It is like a insane statement. But, you know. Is Vanny and Vanessa the same person? I do think that the Vanny mask and like Vanny as a persona is definitely something that existed during Fall Fest days because of the Dreadbear DLC. So I think confidently I can say that I believe that. I do believe that Vanny existed during the Fall Fest days in some shape or form. And I don't know, we saw Fiona making masks in Moon.exe, so I don't know what to say. And we know that she makes puppets and stuff and like knows how to use fabric. So I don't know. It's something to think about. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, that's for sure what it is, because I don't think that that's correct. But I mean, it's something to think about. Also, hello, Ollie. Welcome to the stream. Unfortunately, I am going to have to end stream here in, like, just a couple of minutes. So you showed up a little bit late, but I do appreciate you coming and hanging out for a little bit. I like your Splatoon profile picture. It's cool. Yeah, Vanny is Fiona and Gregory is Sans and Ness. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it is. I don't know. I'd have to find more connections in regards to the whole, like, Fiona kind of Vanny persona thing. I'm not really sure. Fiona is somewhat brought back or recreated through... I'm on 5 Nights at Freddy's fandom wiki right now. Lived together at Old House as the Queen of Scotland herself and... What? Is this correct? Yeah, because Fiona created, like, Chica. She created a lot of the animatronics and stuff like that. Like, they're Fiona's designs. So, I don't know. Like, it honestly could... It's starting to look a little bit more like Fiona might have been Vanny. Like, I don't know. It kind of looks like maybe Fiona might have been Vanny. But who is the mighty... Papyrus? Who is Papyrus? I don't know. Papyrus is also Gregory. I am really feeling tired from the sleepy pill I took. I may just close up shop in a sense and hit the hay. No, that's honestly fair. We're pretty much ending here. I don't really think I have any more to say. I'm angry about fucking Midnight Motorist again, but that's besides the point. I'll think about the Fiona is Vanny thing. I'm gonna try to make a list of all of their, I guess, connections, the way that they could be the same person. Maybe I'll post it on the Game Theory subreddit. I'm not really sure. I've posted too much stuff on the Game Theory subreddit, but hey, I ended up in one of MatPat's videos from it, so that's fine. That's my credibility. But yes, I am going to call it for tonight. Thank you everybody so much for coming out and listening to me talk about FNAF for 2 hours. Y'all are brave souls. For anybody who was lurking like K-Dog, I am so sorry for your brain after all of this. Just know that this is how my brain functions a lot of the time after I play a FNAF game and I think about the lore for some time. This is kind of how my brain works. But yeah, I hope that everybody enjoyed this stream. It kind of was just like a just chatting stream. I don't really have a lot of just chatting streams, honestly. So it's kind of nice to do one. If you guys like these more kind of just chatting, talking about shit streams, I could do more of them. I wouldn't mind it at all. But yeah, thank you everybody so much for coming and hanging out. Will I talk about the Mimic more? Maybe. I hope we get DLC. I hope it's Fall Fest DLC. And I hope Fiona is Vanny. Okay. Goodbye, everyone. No, but yes. I do hope that everybody has a wonderful rest of your night. Thank you again for coming and hanging out. And I will see you tomorrow as we start a brand new game. We are going to play Date Everything tomorrow. And I am super hyped for it because it looks like it's going to be so freaking fun. But yes, have a good night, everyone. I shall see you tomorrow. Take care. See ya, see ya, see ya. Bye, 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 bye. See ya, see ya, see ya. Bye, 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 bye.